The world is full of interesting creatures, so in this video, we're going to be looking at the top 10 unsettling animal mutations you can't unsee. Number 10, octogoat. While there have been multiple cases of different animals growing one additional extremity, it's definitely pretty uncommon to see one with 4 extra legs. But that is exactly the case for this 8-legged goat that has been given the title of octogoat. It basically looks like a crossbreed between a goat and a spider, and with its black and hairy legs, it could honestly pass as a giant tarantula with a goat head. On top of that, the bizarre looking goat also contained male and female organs, which made its birth even more strange and made it extremely difficult for its owner to take care of it. While humans who are born with extra appendages are usually diagnosed with polymelia syndrome, experts believe that this goat actually obtained its extra legs from absorbing its twin while it was still in the womb. Even though they had 8 legs, they were all lacking vital nutrients, and it meant that octogoat was too weak to stand and had a lot of trouble walking during its very short lifespan. Number 9, the mountain lion with 2 jaws. There are more than a few animals that you would never want to run into in the wild, but a double-jawed mountain lion has to be at the very top of that list. The horror film-looking animal was first discovered in Preston, Idaho, when a hunter spotted it attacking a dog. The hunter managed to rescue the dog and take out its attacker, but upon further inspection, he quickly realized that it was no ordinary mountain lion that he was dealing with. While the mountain lion's face appeared to be perfectly normal, it actually had a second jaw with razor-sharp teeth growing out of the top of its head, making for one absolutely deadly predator. While this is obviously extremely rare and the first known case of this ever happening to a wild mountain lion, there are multiple factors that could have caused this phenomenon. Some people believe that it could be a very unique tumor, while others have proposed the idea that it could have been the remnants of a conjoined twin that was consumed while it was still in the womb. Number 8, Faith the 2-legged dog. This bizarre-looking canine was sadly born with a brain defect that negatively affected the development of its 2 front legs and stunted their growth. Faith's front legs unfortunately only got weaker during her early puppy days, and they both had to be amputated for her to have any chance at survival. However, rather than relying on a special walker that would allow Faith to walk similarly to how a normal dog would, she actually learned how to walk and hop around on her hind legs. It is a pretty wild sight to see a dog walking around like a human and hopping around like a kangaroo, but that is just how Faith had to adapt to her new 2-legged life. In addition to overcoming her physical deformalities, Faith was actually recruited to help out with the US Army. She has visited numerous US military bases to serve as a form of encouragement for wounded soldiers, and was even named the honorary sergeant for her contributions to the military. Number 7, the 2-faced pig. This disturbing yet fascinating pig had 2 faces that shared the same head. It had 2 snouts, 2 ears, and a 3rd eye, which was blind and only served as the connector between the 2 faces. The 2-faced pig, which was named Ditto, was originally purchased by the animal rescue group called Pigs Without Partners, who wanted to make sure that the swine was receiving the proper protection and treatment that it clearly needed. In addition to having a blind eye, only one of its snouts was functional, and a special casing had to be placed over it to keep it from getting damaged. Because its only functioning eyes were facing outwards, Ditto had some serious issues when it came to walking, and spent most of its life stumbling around trying to catch its balance. Pigs Without Partners did manage to create a special walker for Ditto to help him learn how to use his legs properly, but he sadly passed away just a couple of months later. Ditto is still helping out though wherever he can, as his face has been preserved to help study facial deformalities in humans. Number 6, the triple-horned cow. Yes, we've all heard about mythical unicorns and normal cows with 2 horns, but have you ever come across a fabled tricorn? That is exactly what we have with this remarkable cow in China that was born with a massive horn growing out of the center of its head, in addition to its 2 normal horns. Some people who passed by the farm and saw the cow wandering around in the grass believed they had discovered the world's first unicorn, until further inspection proved that it was just another everyday cow with a very strange birth defect. There are a number of reasons why the cow could have grown an extra horn, but the general consensus is that it could also be the product of 2 sibling cows mating with each other. The farmer who owns the cow initially stated that he thought the cow was just injured when he first noticed a large bump on its head, but was shocked when he watched it grow into a 3rd horn over time. So while some people may have been disappointed that this wasn't a real-life unicorn, they still ended up discovering a very unique cow. Number 5, Kenny the White Tiger. Albino animals have existed for a long time, but this one might be one of the scariest of them all. Kenny is an albino white tiger who is the result of two siblings mating with each other that resulted in modified genes. It is believed that the owner of Kenny's parents tried to produce a white tiger on multiple occasions, but the intention to sell it was always... It is believed that the owner of Kenny's parents tried to produce a white tiger on multiple occasions with the intention to sell it, but was almost always unsuccessful. However, after many failed attempts, Kenny the white tiger was born, but sadly he had many birth defects, and this made it impossible for his owner to sell him. Thankfully though, Kenny was rescued by the Turpentine Creek Wildlife Reserve in Arkansas, where he was able to be protected and closely examined. They discovered that a gene in Kenny that was the result of him being the product of two siblings caused his fur to turn white and caused his optic nerve to connect to the wrong side, which resulted in him being cross-eyed. The albino tiger also had facial deformalities, club feet, and a disfigured spine, which made his day-to-day life very difficult. Number 4, the two-headed rat snake. Here is another wild-looking animal with two different faces, except this one actually does have two separate heads for them. If the two heads wasn't enough to shock you, you will also notice that this two-headed snake is completely white, while other rat snakes are traditionally always black, suggesting that this one is also albino. But the incredible deformalities don't stop there, as it also remarkably has male and female organs, giving it multiple different properties. This strange-looking snake was purchased by the World Aquarium in St. Louis from its original owner for a whopping $15,000 and remained on display for its 8-year lifespan. The two-headed syndrome caused plenty of problems for the snake, as it would often try to move in multiple different directions at once, and the two heads would often fight each other for food. Some of the zookeepers even claim that the two heads would try to eat each other at times, only solidifying the snake as one of the creepiest animals to ever live. Number 3, the three-headed frog. While we've seen various cases of animals with two heads and two faces, it is very rare that one comes along with three heads, and even more uncommon that it looks like this. This astonishing looking frog was actually discovered by children at a nursery in England when it wandered into their garden and gave the kids the shock of a lifetime. And instead of three heads simply sharing one body, this creepy looking creature looked like three frogs had somehow molded themselves together to create some sort of mutant super species that had 6 legs. While all of the creature's eyes and legs seemed to be functioning completely normally, it was definitely an eerie sign that something had gone terribly wrong in the birth process of the poor frog. While some experts explained that genes and issues during embryonic development was the likely cause, others stated that it was entirely possible that pollutants in the environment were to blame for the mutant frog. We all remember the three-eyed fish that would swim around the Springfield power plant in The Simpsons, so perhaps the cartoon was just predicting the future yet again. Number 2, albino grizzly bears. Alright, so there are many different methods to handle a bear attack depending on which species you happen to encounter. If a grizzly bear charges at you, your best bet is to play dead, as it will more than likely lose interest and move on. If a polar bear charges at you, it is recommended that you stand your ground and hit the bear if you are brave enough. But what if a white collar bear charges at you and despite hitting it in the face, it doesn't back down? Well, in this case, you may have run into an albino grizzly bear. Yes, it is extremely rare, but in some cases, a grizzly bear that is born with a special condition can cause it to grow white fur and look identical to a polar bear. While it definitely looks fascinating from afar, it would be just a little bit terrifying to encounter one of these incredibly rare miscolored beasts. Imagine being face to face with an unknown bear species and not knowing how to fend it off. And number 1, the Cyclops shark. Sharks and Cyclopses are two creatures that are definitely scary enough on their own, so how terrifying would it be to run into a combination of the two? Well, that is exactly what we have here with this creepy creature that was born with one massive eye in the center of its head. It was actually discovered by commercial fishermen in Mexico who captured a full-grown female shark and later discovered that it was pregnant. While they were examining the insides of the shark, they made the shocking discovery that one particular unborn fetus only had one giant eye in the center of its head. It was also completely white, suggesting that it also had an albino defect, and clearly meant that something had gone terribly wrong with this poor little shark while it was in the womb. Obviously, the shark fetus was never placed back into the ocean, and it is now being used by any scientists who wish to study it and find new ways to treat similar genetic mutations in humans. And that wraps up our look at the top 10 unsettling animal mutations you can't unsee. Let us know which one you thought was the freakiest of them all in the comments below. Be sure to hit like and follow for more top 10 videos.